The next presenting company is Cereno Scientific with CEO Sten Sörensen. Welcome, Sten.
Thank you. So I'm very pleased to be back and to present Cereno Scientific's exciting development over the last period. So what are we doing? Cereno develops novel drugs to transform treatments for common and rare diseases. And cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death globally, killing nearly twice as many people as cancer. There is a significant market need due to the high mortality and very high morbidity adversely affecting patients' quality of life. We have a pipeline portfolio, a phase 2 program with our lead product, CS1, in rare disease, pulmonary arterial hypertension. And we have 2 preclinical programs in cardiovascular disease. Our global footprint is, we have our head office in AstraZeneca, biotech hub in Gothenburg, Sweden. And we also have a US subsidiary in Boston. In addition, we have R&D collaboration with University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And as you will see, we also have our phase 2 program to be initiated in the US. Cardiovascular disease is a group of disorders affecting the heart and the blood vessels. By 2030, it's estimated that around 22 million people will die of this disease. And as you can see to the right, it has tremendous cost to societies, here illustrated by European Union's and US cost. These are estimated to double by the mid-2030s. Looking at Cereno's journey since the start, from discovery, we have now developed the company over the last 2 years, progressing our research and broadening our pipeline. So today we have 3 programs in the portfolio. We have a well-defined target market for our lead candidate. The valuation of the company as a result has increased, and our ongoing activities are fully financed. Looking at the portfolio, we target with our CS1 lead project, which is an epigenetic HDAC inhibitor, the rare disease pulmonary arterial hypertension. And we're about to initiate that study after FDA approval recently. The 2 preclinical programs is a prostacyclin analog, CS585. We have agreed with University of Michigan to evaluate this program over 2 years, and we have the right to in-license it exclusively for further development and marketing. The other program is CS014, and it's also an epigenetic HDAC inhibitor program as CS1 is. And both these preclinical programs are targeting cardiovascular disease. Looking at the lead project, CS1 in development for rare disease, pulmonary arterial hypertension. This is a very severe disease. It's an orphan disease affecting less than 200,000 people in the US. And it has a prognosis similar to many cancers, very poor prognosis. And eventually it leads to right heart failure and death. And the real cure is lung transplantation, but very few patients reach that stage. So, and the drugs don't really do more than lower the pressure in the pulmonary arteries. So there is a need for new disease-modifying drugs, and we're trying to do that, and we have a very innovative approach. Looking at CS1, we aim to offer a better disease-modifying treatment for this rare disease. And the characteristics which have been documented over extensive studies in preclinical work, mainly animal studies, have identified 4 characteristics, efficacy characteristics: anti-fibrotic, anti-inflammatory, pulmonary pressure reduction, and antithrombotic efficacies. And this fits like a glove with the pathophysiology and pathogenesis of pulmonary arterial hypertension. And this development could fit the need for what's needed in new advances in therapy for these patients. So our lead compound CS1 has demonstrated positive results and solid results in preclinical and animal studies. And we also have done a phase 1 trial with good safety and tolerability. We reached our targeted pharmacokinetics, and very excitingly, we lowered the clinical important biomarker PI1, which is important for antithrombotic and fibrotic effects. Now, we recently got approved our phase 2 program by FDA, and it will be run in the US in 6 centers, and will have a principal investigator in Raymond Benza. When this study is done, hopefully positively, we'll move into a phase 2/3 program. So FDA approved our IND to go ahead and study CS1 in these patients. And here's some more information. So we will look at standard efficacy endpoints for this patient group. We'll also look at the validated risk score, pharmacokinetics, and we'll look for the best dose to move forward into the next study. It will include 30 patients at 6 different sites, and top-line results is expected by the end of 2022. Raymond Benza is a leader in this field, and he will be the principal investigator. Some more details about the study that we haven't presented before. So the patients that will be included in this study are patients that are on mono or double therapy stable, but who are symptomatic and have a risk for clinical worsening. It will be adult male and female subjects, quite wide age and BMI range. And the patients after a screening period will go through right heart catheterization to implant a pressure device, cutting-edge technology, CardioMEMS. And then a baseline period of 6 weeks will follow, where the patient will familiarize itself with the technology, and also we will have baseline pulmonary arterial pressure measurements. After this period, the patient will be randomized to one of 3 dosages, a low dose, intermediate dose, and a high dose, based on our animal studies. The treatment period will run for 12 weeks, and then there will be a follow-up period for 2 weeks. And during these 12 weeks, we'll measure the pressure, of course, but also take laboratory data for other matters. So we have signed a collaboration deal with a partner here, the Abbot, a large pharmaceutical company, with using their cutting-edge technology, CardioMEMS, which is an implantable device that you put into the pulmonary artery. And that with that device, you can make readouts when you want during the 24 hours, and you can transfer remotely the captured data to the physician's office, and we can get very good data and readout. And this way to study use this technology will make the study cost efficient and also improve our ability to get good data. Let's move on to our preclinical program. So we have, as I mentioned, agreed with University of Michigan to have an exclusive program to evaluate stable, selective, and potent prostacyclin agonist, CS585. And it has potential to significantly advance treatments within cardiovascular disease. The other program is a compound that we acquired from Emirati Bio at AstraZeneca Hub. So we have 2 preclinical programs, and we signed an agreement with University of Michigan to evaluate these 2 compounds over 24 months. And this agreement was put in place during the spring. So 24 months from May, we'll be able to have packages, if everything goes well, to move these compounds into man in the first clinical trial. The program is led by Dr. Michael Hollenstadt, active at the University of Michigan, and he's also Director of Translational Research for Cereno. Now, let's look at some achievements that has propelled the development of Cereno over the last year. So we have strengthened our team for clinical study in preclinical phase programs. We have expanded patent protection for CS1 and CS585. So CS585 got US patent this year. CS1 had US patent before, but got Australia, Japan and Russia patents, and also recently the whole European Union, 15 countries in Europe. We signed, as I mentioned, an option agreement for in-licensing of 585 and initiated preclinical programs for CS585 and CS014 at University of Michigan. We entered the collaboration agreement with Abbot to collaborate in the phase 2 study with CS1 and use their cutting technology CardioMEMS pressure technique. We obtained our IND acceptance for the phase 2 trial that will be run in the US for our lead project CS1 and the phase 2 study in PAH. And then very recently, actually last Friday, we had a successful share issue with warrants of series of TO1 that were exercised to nearly 97% and brought in 95 million Swedish kronor to the company. So these activities and this last financing round with the warrants has now fully financed our future development of the company. And you can see the development here of market cap and share price over the period. I should say also that there is a second warrant package a year from now in September next year that is potentially bringing in another 114 million. So our focus now moving forward is the CS1 phase 2 study, get the study sites up and running, recruit the first patient. We will communicate and position Cereno in the cardiovascular space scientifically, and we will push our preclinical programs forward. In addition, we'll work on our IP protection for the company. So this is an overview over our focus over the last 2 years and the 2 years coming forward. And if everything goes well here, we are in clinic with the 2 preclinical programs by 2023, and we'll also initiate our next phase 2 program with the lead compound. That ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sten. Seems as if you've been really busy during the summer.
Absolutely.
And now you're even having an even busier autumn.
Yeah, you know, it's when you drive many programs, the positive thing is that you know, many things that can grow in value and so on, but also results in a lot of activities. And now, you know, as I mentioned, our focus is to get ethical approval and contract the sites and recruit the first patients for the lead program and push our preclinical programs forward.
And you also mentioned the warrant issue of TO1, or the exercise of the warrant.
Yeah, I'm very happy about the very strong support that we are getting from the shareholders that came in a year ago, and also the existing ones. So feel very positive about that, because now we can focus on executing our programs.
And you also mentioned the exercise of the warrant TO1, which provided almost or a little more than 95 million kronor. What does that mean for Cereno?
Yeah, well, it gives us a very good feeling that a very strong support from our existing shareholders, those who came in at the last share issue a year ago, have, you know, continued to support the company as well as those who were there from the beginning. And now we can focus on executing our programs as we are fully financed for what we have planned.
Yes, and final question. You said that you're aiming to present top-line data for CS1 in H2 2022. What will happen after that?
Well, yeah, so that's the real task here is to actually be able to pursue the clinical trial on PH with CS1. And we hope to be able to do that on time. And, we haven't moved our top line target date, which is, as you say, during H2 22. After that, depending on if the data is good, which we hope, and actually already now we're going to initiate planning for the next trial. But we need the data from this trial to be able to finalize that planning. But that planning will start as soon as we are up and running with this one. So next year will be a lot of work on the next trial, as well as executing this one.
Sounds really interesting. Thank you so much, Sten.
Thank you.